Hi, Hugo Reed. For our nonfiction book this week, we have something a little bit different. We have a biography, and it is about Dorothy Vaughan, who was a computer scientist. The title of the book is Computer Decoder, Dorothy Vaughan, Computer Scientist. Interesting illustration. It's like a collage. They've cut things out, it looks like, and then part of it looks painted. So let's see inside if it goes on being kind of a combination. This is by Andy Dean and illustrated by Katie Mazika. And so this, even though this is a picture book, Dorothy Vaughan is a real person. So a biography tells the story of a person's life, right? Dorothy knew numbers made sense. They lined up just right for engineering events. What didn't make sense and made people suffer was how people were divided according to color. She didn't let that stop her from being the best, from rising to the top and helping the rest. And when she saw what a computer could do, she dove into learning how it could help you. So kind of adding to some of our Black History Month and some famous African Americans. Dorothy Vaughan was a computer during the 40s and 50s. A computer at that time was someone who added up numbers, so not like we think of a computer. She was mentally computing. But she wasn't a computer like the computers you might see at school. Dorothy was a human computer. She could do math very quickly, and she always figured out the right answer, even if it took a while. Numbers made sense to Dorothy. In school, she studied very hard and went to college. Back then, it was unusual for women to go to college. It was even more unusual for African American women to go to college. After college, Dorothy became a math teacher. Numbers still made sense to Dorothy, but she was allowed to teach only African American children. So back during segregation, schools were either black or white or divided by race. So that's why she was only allowed to teach black children. She didn't earn much money as a teacher. She worried about sending her own children to college. Dorothy looked for a new job that paid more money. One day, she spotted a notice on a bulletin board. The Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory was hiring human computers. Dorothy applied and got the job. I think this is showing her children, perhaps. Let's see later if it tells us how many she has. There's 6 in this picture, so let's see if we learn more. This was in 1943, during World War II. Many people worked at Langley. This was where engineers tested new airplanes. They figured out how to make airplanes better at taking off, flying, and landing. The engineers needed people good at math to help them. These people were the human computers. You guys probably can't even imagine a time when we didn't have computers yet, but there really was. It wasn't that long ago that there were no machine computers, just human computers. Most of the human computers were women, and most of the engineers were men. So things were still different then. You were kind of limited in what you could do. You were limited as a white woman. You were even more limited as a black woman. Dorothy loved working as a human computer. She loved working on solutions to problems. When World War II ended, the engineers at Langley went to work figuring out how to send people into space. Dorothy was so excited to be a part of the team. So that was new. They hadn't done it yet. So here's an old movie theater. It says Hitchcock's Latest, which was an old movie. At Langley, the numbers made sense, but there was one thing that didn't make sense: segregation. So this says colored entrance. So here's the movie theater. Here's where the people here are white going in the front door, and this says colored entrance, and they're having to go up here. Segregation was when black people and white people were forced to stay apart. Segregation, that's an important word. So we could be segregated by lots of different things, but in this book they're talking, usually when we talk about segregation, it's about race, by the color of your skin. At Langley, segregation was the rule. Black people and white people were made to work in different areas. African American women were put on one team of computers and white women were on another. So they were in different rooms. They probably might have even been in different buildings. Dorothy didn't let this stop her. She worked hard. She worked smart. She became the first African American supervisor at Langley. Dorothy spoke up for equal rights for all people, whether they were black or white. That made sense for her. Langley stopped segregating people when the company became NASA. I don't know why I'm having a problem with that word, but there we go. In 1958. So then they decided in 1958, which was not that long ago. It took them that long before they stopped segregation at this company. One day, Dorothy felt a strange vibration in the floorboards. At Langley, let me do that one again. One day, Dorothy felt a strange vibration in the floorboards at Langley. Earthquake? Giant trucks? No, the shaking was caused by a computer. Not a human computer, an electronic computer. The electronic computer worked much faster than a human. How can I work with this machine? Dorothy asked herself. So there was change coming. And she's thinking, how can I change too? She was pretty smart. Dorothy decided to learn something new. This made sense to her. She went to classes and read books about computers and programming. Dorothy became an expert at writing computer code. She helped other human computers learn the computer code too. So sometimes when something new comes, you can just get like, oh, I can't do it, and get frustrated. But she was thinking, she's like, I'm going to work with this and learn how to do it. So she did. And then she helped other people work with it too. The work Dorothy did with computers helped send a man into space. Dorothy never stopped learning, even when she was a very old woman. This just made sense to Dorothy. And that was the end. So that tells you about Dorothy. If you'd like to read more about Dorothy Vaughan, I'm sure there are lots of other good biographies. And this gives in the book, if you check it out, talks about coding a bracelet and trying these other connections. This is some other places to read more about Dorothy Vaughan. And let me see. And this is a timeline. Let's look at that. In 1910, Dorothy Johnson is born. September 20, she marries Howard Vaughan. So that's why her name in this book is Dorothy Vaughan instead of Dorothy Johnson. In 1941, the United States enters World War II. In 1943, Dorothy begins working as a human computer at Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory. 1943, World War II ends. In 1945, I think I might have said the wrong year. 1947, the first electronic computer arrives at Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory. In 1949, Dorothy's appointed supervisor of a team of human computers at a West Area Computing, a segregated section of Langley. 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court declares school segregation unconstitutional. The mid-1950s, Dorothy learns to program computers because she realized that they are going to be a permanent part of the workplace. In 1958, Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory becomes part of NASA. All teams are desegregated, meaning people of all colors work alongside each other and are to be treated the same. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act is passed, making discrimination based on race illegal. In 1971, Dorothy retires from NASA. In 2008, she died on November 10th. This is the inside of a wind tunnel Langley. So she was born in 1910. She died in 2008. And that's the glossary. So Dorothy Vaughan, one of the heroes. Hope you enjoyed the book. I'll see you next week, Hugary. Bye-bye.